Sunrise here in Deland, Florida. Just dealing with the rental car after yesterday's false start. Spent a lot of time last night kicking myself for not having made it to Texas yesterday, but boy, you look around right now, look at that. Not a cloud. Today's gonna be a lot easier than yesterday would have been. Right on, here we go.
Deland traffic, experimental 151 Papa Kilo, departing runway 30, climbing up 10,000 over the field.
So while the skies were clear that morning, the previous day's rain had left a lot of humidity in the air, which meant that there was some low-laying ground fog, and I know you guys already know where I'm going with this. It made for some cool prop effects as we added power to head down range. A great way to kick off an exciting day in the LongNoseThunder. So just like that, we're climbing at 3,000 foot a minute, headed downrange for our first stop in Marianna, Florida. It's about 250 nautical miles when you go around that alert area north of Deland. 1.3 hours to do the leg, burning about just over 50 gallons of gas. Another great thing about waking up early is not only did you leave an airport that was quiet, but we ended up at an airport that was quiet. Marianna was super quiet when I came into land. All right, 9 o'clock here in Marianna, Florida. First leg complete. Get some gas and on to the next one.
Marianna traffic, experimental 151 Papa Kilos, taxiing for runway 18. Marianna traffic, experimental 51 Papa Kilo, departing 18.
And after what was maybe not the smoothest takeoff of the program, we were headed downrange. Next airport was Hammond North Shore Regional Airport in Hammond, Louisiana. It was about 270 nautical miles. It took us about 1.5 hours and we burned about 62 gallons of gas. Hammond, Louisiana. Getting close now. Flight went well. It was a little bit longer than the previous leg. Get this thing reset, we'll get back out of here. The biggest indicator of what was to come was the landing that happened at Hammond North Shore Airport. On short final, the tower called and asked us to go around because of traffic on intersecting runway that he had mistimed. I added power to go around, sucked the gear up, and the gear did not fully retract. After safely getting the airplane on the ground, I decided it would be a good idea to take a look. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of resources at Hammond North Shore Airport. Nothing against the people there. I'm sure they're all super friendly. Maybe it was where I parked. Maybe it was the time of day or the day of the week or whatever. I was coming across a lot of student pilots. I was coming across some airport administrators and line boys, but I wasn't able to find sort of a mechanic type guy or a shop where I could pop the cowls off and take a look at the hydraulic pump or the hydraulic system, which seemed to be the culprit. Without much else to do, I decided to push. So I did a walk around the airplane, made sure I didn't find any hydraulic puddles, and then I checked again. I checked it during the inspection, but I checked it again to make sure that the hydraulic accumulator was full and that the blowdown bottle was also full. Again, indications of what's coming. All right, so we got all reset here in Louisiana, and next stop is just north of Houston. Weather's good, so should be fun. Let's do it.
Darling, you sent me. I know you sent me. Darling, I know you.
So a quick non-technical side note. Here in this moment, I'm taxiing out to take off and pull up next to a little 150 with presumably a CFI in the right seat and a student pilot in the left seat. And, there's a lot of effort that's required to get this thing moving and the whole deal. And there's a lot of mental anxiety of figuring out how to do this and do it safely. But in that moment, when you pull up next to a little 150 and they're both trying to do their checklists and they're working on their private pilot stuff or whatever, and they both just can't take their eyes off this freaking fire-breathing dragon that just taxied up next to him. That's very rewarding. And then in this particular moment, a Black Hawk, they were shooting approaches in a Black Hawk. A Black Hawk comes in, you can see it enter frame left, and then actually on the right. What you can't see is the guy hanging out the window of the open door giving me the fist pumps. It's the untangibles of operating an airplane like this that's hard to communicate. We're constantly in test environments, so we're in little abandoned airports all by ourselves, and it's not until you get out there in the field that you get to sort of pick up on these moments that may help you realize this is really cool stuff, and it's fun, and I feel honored to be a part of it.
Darling,
Come on, baby. Orange County traffic, experimental 151, Papa Kilo. Left base to final 22.
So leg 3 took about 1.3 hours and took us from Hammond North Shore Airport out to Orange County Airport in Orange County, Texas. During that leg, we burned about 48 gallons of gas. So being only 180 nautical miles roughly, it's one of the shorter legs of the flight. And what that really comes down to is I was concerned that if I went much further, I'd be getting near Houston, which meant that I would end up doing that first gear extension in some complicated airspace. So the gear retraction over Hammond wasn't super clean, and I was getting nervous that we were having a real hydraulic thing that was starting to get ready to happen. So I decided to cut the leg short. Anyway, ended up at Orange County, Texas, which if you've been there is super, super quiet. Made it to Texas. Orange County, Texas, out on the eastern tip. It's windy. I'm sure you can barely hear me. Hopefully you can hear some of this. I'm trying to decide if the hydraulic system is working as I would expect. And as a result, I'm being real conservative on the gas. We'll get her fueled up and we'll get on down the road. And so with that concern in mind, I checked the accumulator pressure and blowdown bottle pressure again, did another walk around the airplane looking for big puddles of hydraulic fluid or some sort of indication of what's going on with the system, and then decided to bite it off and try to do the entire leg back to Orange Stage or back to San Antonio from Orange County. It ends up being just shy of 300 nauticals, so it's like 270, something like that, when you go around Houston, which was my intention. So here's that takeoff from Orange County You can see there, getting the power up, getting the airplane airborne, gear handle the up position. You can see the gear starts moving right away, and then the mains hang for a bit, and the mains hit the up locks, and then the inner door. So everything looks pretty clean, and gives me confidence that I'm going to be able to make this last leg all the way to San Antonio. So the Orange County Airport is actually underneath the airspace for Beaumont, Texas airport, just down the road, which meant that I could only climb to 1,500 feet coming out of Orange County, and then I had to skirt out and around the wedding cake to get it back up to altitude. What that means is what I typically do is full power for takeoff, get the airplane up, get the gear sucked up at below gear speed, then back to climb power, orbit over the airport up to 5,000 or 6,000, get a chance for things to stabilize, and then head down range. Because of the airspace, was takeoff power, get the thing up and airborne, and then power back to stay below 1,500 feet, then suck the gear up, then skirt around the outside the wedding cake, and then stand it back up to make the climb up to altitude. As a result, when the gear retraction happened, I was actually at a lower power setting, which probably made it easier on the hydraulic system. My point being, the failure that was about to happen probably would have happened right there on takeoff had I stressed the system by making it try to retract the gear with all that extra air blowing over the gear doors from the propeller. So cruising along at about 220 indicated at 12,500 feet, just coming up on the north side of Houston. I had gone about